Well, we told you over the weekend that it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that Brock Purdy could be cleared to play in week 3, and that certainly appears to be the case as of Wednesday, when Kyle Shanahan read off the 49ers preliminary injury report or practice participation report for Wednesday. He listed 8 guys who would not practice. Not on that list was Brock Purdy. He was on the limited practice list, and sure enough, out there on the practice field, he was going through the pre-practice routines. In most of these cases, Mac Jones was taking the first snaps, and then Brock Purdy would come in. And so, as we noted, the toe sprain that he sustained in the week 1 game at Seattle progressed very well as the week went on, to the point where his physical therapy, the rehab work that he did Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday in New Orleans was very positive, very encouraging. Now, whether that means that he will suit up and be the number 1 quarterback when the 49ers play the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday in the home opener at Levi Stadium, the first home game for the 49ers this season, that remains to be seen. Kyle Shanahan certainly left the door open for that. He also left the door open for the possibility that Mac Jones starts and Brock Purdy is the backup for this game. So basically, Kyle Shanahan leaving all options open. I think what a takeaway for this isn't like the 49ers going out there not knowing whether it's going to be Brock Purdy or Joshua Dobbs, a quarterback. I think basically the same game plan that the 49ers would put in for Brock Purdy going up against the Arizona Cardinals defense, that would be the same offense that they would have available, the same game plan they would have available for if Mac Jones were the quarterback. So as of right now, I would say it appears, just based on the fact that Brock Purdy was going through a limited practice, that the odds are pretty good if you the odds are good that he could suit up for this game. The question then becomes, is he the number 1 or is he the backup guy? You would think that if he's good enough to play, that he's good enough to play, because you have to assume if you have a guy suited up to be the backup, that second play of the game, he has to be ready to go in there. So we'll see as this week goes on how the 49ers decide to approach this. Theoretically, it shouldn't have really too much say that or influence how Mac Jones played in his start. This is an important game. This is a division game against a fellow 2-0 opponent. And then when you look at what's happening with the Rams, they play the Philadelphia Eagles, and it very well could be that the winner of this 49ers Cardinals game stands in first place all alone in the NFC West. So at practice, we saw Brock Purdy going through his thing. You also see highlights of Brandon Ayuk out there on the practice field. He remains on the physically unable to perform list. So he's already missed 2 games. He has to miss 2 more. And then that week 5 game is a short turnaround, a Thursday game against the LA Rams, where the 49ers will not practice at all at full speed. So you can wipe that off the table for being a possibility. So then the first time we start to look at, is it possible to get Brandon Ayuk out there? That would be the week 6 game against Tampa Bay. I guess the same could be said for Malik Mustafa, the 49ers safety, who is also on the physically unable to perform list. 49ers will be getting some help back, and not this week, but the following week against Jacksonville as Demarcus Robinson. This will be the 3rd and final game that he has to serve with that suspension for a violation of the league's policy on substances of abuse. But once again, while all eyes were on Brock Purdy, looking to see how he is reacting after the toe injury kept him out of that game against the New Orleans Saints, Brandon Ayuk also out there running routes on air. On the injury report, it will also show Brock Purdy as a left shoulder injury. That's not a big deal. Easy for me to say, of course, but it's the toe injury that kept him out of that game. And we saw just how serious a toe injury can be. So the 49ers, I think, felt a little bit lucky, maybe a lot fortunate that it wasn't a more severe injury, such as the injury that wiped out Joe Burrow for 3 months. He will undergo the surgery on the turf toe on his foot, and that's a hyperextended toe, so he needs surgery. So that wipes that out. A good portion of the season will be wiped out for Joe Burrow. Other things of note for the 49ers as far as the injury report goes for this game, Juwan Jennings wasn't scheduled to practice Wednesday, didn't see him out there on the practice field. He has the ankle injury from a play where it looked like he kind of slipped on that turf as he tried to kind of redirect for an off-target pass from Mac Jones. That looked to me like that was a left ankle injury for him, but not a high ankle sprain. The one high ankle sprain was Ben Bartch, and he has been placed on injured reserve. So Ben Bartch, the starting left guard, goes on IR today, and that opens the door for Connor Colby to take over as the starting left guard for the 49ers. Two players in the injury or the concussion protocol. That's fullback Kyle Juszczyk. That's also the special teams ace, Saran Neal. And also the 49ers are still evaluating how Spencer Burford, backup left tackle, is doing with a knee injury. So he could very well be out for this game. He did not practice as well. Yetur Gross-Matos didn't practice with a knee injury. He's been nursing that thing. Then the veteran guys who have a little bit of stuff going on, Trent Williams with the knee, McCaffrey with the calf, and then Bosa just rest. But for Williams, it's rest, McCaffrey rest, and Bosa rested out as well. So what the 49ers decided to do with a couple of roster moves before practice, I mentioned Ben Bartch goes on IR. That wipes him out for 4 games. That you're looking at a 4 to 6 week injury with the high ankle sprain. That's the right ankle for him. 49ers use that roster opening to promote Braden Willis from the practice squad to the 53-man roster. And then also the 49ers brought in 5 offensive tackles for a workout, for a tryout on Monday and Tuesday. And they ended up going with a veteran guy who's been here before, and that is Brandon Parker, formerly of the Raiders. 59 career games for him, 33 starts. When he was a starter, he was pretty good, but had some injuries, hadn't been able to stay on the field. But that's where the 49ers are heading into this game against the Arizona Cardinals. The big story, Brock Purdy returns to the practice field after missing 1 game and looks to be on pace to at least suit up for this game against the Arizona Cardinals. But so much of it is contingent on how he responds to the practice on this Wednesday, how he comes to the facility feeling on Thursday. But as I said, late last week, it really turned to a positive thing for Brock Purdy and the 49ers that he was doing very well in the rehab and the physical therapy. So that's when I started reporting that it was looking more like a 1 to 2 week injury, as opposed to, I know nationally it was reported as a 2 to 5 week injury. So all signs pointing in a positive direction for Brock Purdy returning to the 49ers in a timely fashion. One other note from this Wednesday, the NFL announced their players of the week. And for the 4th time in his career, Fred Warner was recognized as the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. 11 tackles, a pass defense, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and that was a huge play in that game against the Saints as they were marching and potentially going in for the go-ahead points. But really nice play from Jair Brown, who was working as the big nickel, wrapping up Elvin Kamara, and then Fred Warner coming in expecting the ball. Kamara had the ball pinned to his helmet, kind of like David Tyree in that Super Bowl victory for the Giants over the at that time undefeated Patriots. He was expecting the ball to just pop out, and he wanted to be there to catch it. Instead, as Warner got close, he just went for the punch out to force the fumble. And Kamara, he was not down by contact as originally ruled, and Fred Warner stayed with the play, the punch out, the recovery. So Fred Warner honored as the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. And I would say this, last year at this time, we were talking about Fred Warner starting to make a case for NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And yes, it's probably way too early to start talking about it, but you know what? It's not too early to start talking about it, because I think the sooner that these guys get on the radar of the voters, That's always a good thing. And so keep an eye on Fred Warner. Last year, he was derailed in that bid for those honors by the 49ers having a bad season, but also the ankle injury that he had, that he was playing with through a good portion of the year after that amazing start that Warner had to his season. So Fred Warner certainly on pace for another Pro Bowl season for him. And wouldn't it be great if at some point in his career he can get that elusive Defensive Player of the Year award? So once again, 49ers will have to turn to their defense this week against Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, and Fred Warner certainly will be leading that charge. Thanks for tuning into this video, and that is it for now.